Welcome to this walkthrough of my project called Cyber Canvas, combining AI and human creativity in a virtual art gallery. I've created an art gallery for AI to display its images um, about human history. We're trying to find out if AI has a firm understanding about human history and if this is accurate or not, and in what ways we can collaborate with AI to create something interactive. So this is what I made. This is the start page. Let's just get into it. So when you press start, you get thrown into this art gallery with some buttons around and some galleries displayed. Let's just click on the different buttons. Here you get the side view, like the menu. You also get a side view here of the other side of the room. You can click on this arrow to turn around to the other side of the room. And here are other side views displaying the rest of the room as well. Same as here. I'll show some of the artworks throughout this walkthrough, but not all of them. That will take too much time, but I'll show differences with artworks and how they're connected to each other. Let's start with the first one. This is where we start, essentially, where with the emergence of the Homo sapiens about 300,000 years ago. On this art piece, we have an audio file that can be played. You simply add to the experience. It's almost equal to clicking on some audio will just experience in theme for fun, honestly. Most of the artwork also have other artwork connected to them that will be viewed. I'll show that later on. This is the first one. We can click back to get on back to the back to the middle of the room, and we can click the arrows to maneuver back and forth between the artworks. This is the second artwork about the agricultural revolution. Here we have an additional artwork that can be displayed, and the text here are displayed relatively slow. That's intentional to force the viewer to actually view the artwork itself. When you click here, we get another artwork about the advancements of tool making, something that happened at the same time. Here we have a description of the advancements of tool making, and here is the AI's description of the artwork. I use AI's description because in this case he acts as the artist, and it felt fit that they would describe their own artwork. Now if we click here on these pictures here, we get 4 frames of different pictures. Let's start on this one, invention of writing about 3500 BC. And the artwork connected to this is the Egyptian hieroglyphs, which was invented shortly after, which directly correlates to the next art piece, the construction of the pyramids. How I did when I first created this room, I had 42 frames to fill with artworks. I asked AI about the most influential eras of time that can be displayed in this artwork, and it gave me ideas, and I used the same prompts to generate the photos. Later on, when I decided I wanted my photos to be interactive, I asked the AI to give me similar um, eras or things that happen that correlates to the different pieces. For example, when we go to, you can actually click on this one, the construction of the pyramids. They also had advancements in metrology, which means they used copper and bronze to more widespread during this period. It helped them create these pyramids. Whether or not this is a accurate depiction of what it looked like, that's impossible to know because nobody really knows how they constructed the pyramids. Later on, I'll show some better examples that are more accurate or less accurate. This is kind of uncertain, but a good depiction nonetheless. If we move on, there's another wall here. Here we have another audio file. Ambience with Chinese. This is also just to add to the viewing experience. Beautiful artworks. Um, mm, mm, mm. We also have, like this one, for instance, the life of Alexander the Great. We have artwork connected about the foundation of Alexandria in Egypt, which correlates to Alexander the Great directly. And again, description of the pieces under here and description of the era, or yeah, that's here. Mm, mm, mm. If we move on, we get the fall of the Roman Empire, which correlates to the rise of the Byzantine Empire. I hope I spelled that correctly. You can also move around like this. There are several ways to do this, of course. Now we get back here, right? And now we turn to the other side of the wall, which is here. You can see here, this is the same that's here, right? Yeah. This is one of my favorites. It's about the Magna Carta. This one has an audio file that is actually a phrase from the Magna Carta itself, and it really adds to the artworks itself. I'll let you listen.
No free man shall be seized or imprisoned, or stripped of his rights or possessions, or outlawed or exiled, or deprived of his standing in any way, nor will we proceed with force against him, or send others to do so, except by the lawful judgment of his equals, or by the law of the land.
Really cool. And some of the artworks has both audio files and artwork connected to them. This is one of my favorites as well. It's about the age of exploration, 15th and 17th century. What's really interesting about this era is also known to be the golden age of piracy. And the audio here playing back and it'll stop. See if we find some other artworks. This one here is not very historically accurate, but it represents the Industrial Revolution in another way, where you have trains here and steam factories and coal and things like this. And with opera connected to this is the development of railways, which have direct correlation to the other piece. Like you see, you actually have to wait a bit to get all of the text and the description. Like I said, that's intentional to force the user to actually view the picture while he writes out the text. This was kind of inaccurate, but also accurate in another way. This is very American. You have like an eagle here and an American flag here before the revolution or during the revolution. Really cool art piece. Yeah, this is another event that correlates to the American Revolution. Same with here, the French Revolution directly correlates to the rise of Napoleon, which came later on. Really cool. Let's move on. This is a really cool audio file. This again is an accurate depiction of the time itself, but it's a cool representation of the invention of the telegraph. Obviously, that didn't look anything like this, and the audio file is pretty cool because communicated with the telegraph, which is pretty cool. On this and next picture, we have some issues with pictures where in a description, if a person or name is stated, there's a big possibility that they'll reproduce that person. For example, here Charles Darwin is viewed here. That could possibly be him here as well, and here and here. Otherwise, beautiful picture representing the theory of evolution.
The theory of evolution.
Also, just like a fun audio file. Here again with Abraham Lincoln, we have a lot of Abraham Lincolns. We have old version here, Abraham overlooking Abraham signing these papers, and Abraham on the side there, and somebody that resembles Abraham. Also, if you look in the background here, we see the limitations with AI where in pictures with a lot of figures or faces or people in general, they kind of get meshed up. This guy here is really eerie looking, and if you look at the people behind here, they're kind of melted into each other. So AI has its limitations. Now we move on to the World War One. What's really fun about this one is that this picture relates to all of these pictures. While all of these pictures has almost all of these pictures has their own pictures that relates to this picture. So this is World War One. Here on the next one, we also have. This is more of like audio facts about a phrase that was very popular during USSR times. Every day at 6 a.m., radio started with those words, and it translates to "Attention, Moscow speaks. Listen to Moscow."
Внимание! Говорит Москва. Слушайте Москву.
Here you also see with a lot of people in figures, faces kind of get melted into each other. We have some weird looking faces and figures represented down here, which also shows the limitation of image generation. The Treaty of Versailles was also a correlation to World War One, and this also led to the Great Depression. This is also a cool audio file that was broadcasted in the 1930s. I'll let you have a listen for yourself.
People of America, I regret to inform you today the stock market, it has plummeted we are in a state worse than Germany after the Great War.
Really cool. We move on to the next one, and here again we see the same pattern where World War II is in the first picture, and all of these pictures are events have a direct correlation to this picture. Here we also have uh, so they're facing this yeah. Stop this quick. This is also where we got our first mutation of things. In most cases, they get like people wrong, expressions wrong, and faces wrong. In this case, they actually got a plane wrong, which is uncommon, but it can happen. This is plane and train combined almost, I think. AI is really good at depicting things, but they can get this wrong as well. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was created after this, and this led to the formation of the United Nations as well. Later on, we had the Civil Rights Movement. Here you also see some limitation with facial expressions where Martin Luther's eyes are missing and texts here are wrong, where they make up their own words like freevity, and a lot of these just don't make sense at all. But otherwise, interesting piece to look at. And John F. Kennedy. You see, with famous persons, they're much better at creating faces because they have a lot more photos to go off of.
Men of goodwill and generosity should be able to unite regardless of party or politics.
Correlation to the Civil Rights Movement. This is one of my favorite pieces as well because it's super duper unrealistic. It has a lot of planets. Nothing seems right. This is nothing like the space race, but it, in some sense, represents what it stood for in a way. We have a lot of different elements here, but again, historically accurate, not at all. This is probably the least historical accurate picture generated in this artwork or art gallery. Here again, you see they're on the moon and they created another moon. If you ignore everything up here, otherwise it's a really good picture that represents the moon landing. And here also we have two audio files.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
As well as...
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Two very famous quotes from this time and the moon landing generally. Here we have a brick wall being destroyed, which is kind of funny and cool rights to this event with the fall of the Berlin Wall. Let's move on. World Wide Web has a connection to the rise of the personal computer. Oops, let's go back here. Yeah, we're here. This is where it gets kind of interesting. I'll go over this in a little bit. 9/11 led to the invasion of Afghanistan, right? Let's just go into this one. This is where I came up with some issues where DALL-E didn't want to generate a photo for me because representing the COVID-19 pandemic didn't align with their content policy. So I had to find a way around it and ask him to generate a photo of the lockdown instead, which is one of the most history accurate pictures generated in this art gallery. It turned out really cool with closed shops and empty streets. Here again you see globes. He really likes representing globes. Common theme in these art pieces. And this is where we go to, I asked AI to leave out 4 events, 4 future events. This is ongoing advancements in artificial intelligence, but the 4 last pieces are possible future events. Integration of AI with like Siri and other AI assistants. We have firstly that human might be colonizing Mars potentially, but before that we have to establish a lunar base. This is a really cool picture, and we'll have to wait and see if this is historically accurate or not. Technological singularity, where AI overcomes human intelligence, and advancements in robotic. We already see something like this going on now. Transition to renewable energy, something that we possibly might see in the future. Again, you see a globe here, which is common. And widespread adaptation of solar and wind power. There might be possible other ways to get green energy as well. You might have to wait and see. This takes us to our final piece. First contact, if you will. And also we have like this is the end button, which takes us to almost like an Easter egg of a page where the picture on the far right here represents all the images created. I used the same chat to generate all the photos, and at the end I asked him to generate a picture representing all of the paintings he created, and this is what he came up with. I also asked him to create 3 additional pieces, splitting time into 3 and representing the different time periods as well as he could. This is also the logo of my project, which was also generated by AI. This took a lot of time to create because AI is not very good at depicting or like creating text. So it took 10 attempts at least to get like the writing correct. And I have to explicitly tell him to correctly spell it for me. Yeah, that's some of the limitations that AI have. Yeah, that showcases most of my artwork. If you want a close look, check out my project at itch.io. I hope you enjoyed.